Hi, this is Rabbi Chaim Kaufman. Welcome to our 155th installment of the Torah portion of the week. We are holding by Parshas Vayeitze, a packed parsha. Speaks about Yaakov going to Haran and staying by Lavan and all the tricks that Lavan does, and he ends up marrying Leah. And they were supposed to marry Rachel, and they have to wait another 7 years for Rachel and all the kids he has from Leah and all that. So the Torah tells an interesting thing, that Yaakov sees that Lavan, after he basically takes all his wealth, that Lavan, doesn't look at him the same. Feels like he's in danger. God tells him to go to Eretz Yisrael. So Yaakov flees. Yaakov goes. Lavan chases after him, and Lavan is missing his idols. Right? It's a whole interesting story. What in the world's going on? That Rachel hid the idols. And seemingly she's severely punished. Right? Severely punished for it. But I have to see what's going on here. So the Torah tells us, chapter 31, verse 19. Torah tells us, Lavan got a shear of sheep. Rachel stole the teraphim, idols, so to speak, that belonged to her father. Right, steals the idols. In the same chapter 31, verse 32. Right, whenever you find your gods, you shall not live, Yaakov says. The presence of our kinsmen, ascertain for yourself what is with me, take it back. Now Yaakov didn't know Rachel had stolen it. Right, so you see that Rachel steals the idols, and Yaakov curses anyone that stole it. He was very upset. Right, very upset. But he didn't know she stole the idols. And then shortly thereafter she dies. So now it's interesting. If you go back chapter 31, verse 19, right, it says Rachel stole the teraphim, stole these idols. Says Moiv Rebbe, Arav Agon and Moshe Shlita should be well. Brings down in Hochmach Vadas. There's a question here. Right, there are a number of things here. But the first thing is that there's a question, how could Rachel have stolen the idols? Why is it permissible for her to steal the idols? You might say, well, it's idolatry, and she's stopping him from being an idol worshiper. But if she steals, she's liable for a death penalty. Right, the Ben Noah, right, a Noahide that steals, liable for the death penalty. So, says Moiv Rebbe, there's an opinion between the Ksos HaChoshen. It seems the Mishpat, right, they oftentimes argue laws of Choshen Mishpat, the laws of damages. So in Choshen Mishpat, Siman Gimel, the third Siman and Choshen Mishpat, they have a difference of opinion. Over here. According to the Mishpat, every Yochid, every individual, is commanded to separate his friend from Isser. In other words, you see someone doing something wrong, you have an obligation to separate them. Separate them from what they're doing wrong. Right? If it's kosher food, take it away, get rid of it, whatever. So, if there's a mitzvah, according to the Nesivis, separate someone from something that's forbidden, she's fine. She didn't do anything wrong. But even according to the Ksos, the Ksos says you need a beis din. You can't just do it yourself. You need to go to a beis din in order to do it. That's already where there's an obligation to have a beis din, and you have to give it in front of the beis din. In other words, you have to give over a testimony. Why you're doing it. The beis din has to give you permission. Or you can't just do it on your own. Or you tell me, it's dependent on each individual. So they agree that it should be done. Right? Both the Nesivis and the Ksos agree that what she did was okay. The only question is, meaning that there's an obligation to separate from someone doing something forbidden. So in that sense, it's okay. The only question is an individual allowed to do it, or has it be done in front of Basin? Or we have to ask Basin and then go do it. Right, so it gets to the question, the heart of the question of someone's doing something evil, right? They're doing something wrong. You know, how far do you have to go in order to separate them from what they're doing? So both agree you have to do it. Right? There's a mitzvah to do it. Oh, mind your own business. Why are you getting yourself involved in what someone else is doing? They're going to get angry. They'll hate you, this, that. Maybe all true. Question is, do I have an obligation? Does the person have an obligation to separate someone from doing something wrong? Similarly over here, it does. Right? The famous question by last week's Parsha, that you have Yaakov and Esav, and they're both fighting to get out first. Who's going to be the Bechor? Who's going to be the firstborn? Right? Anytime Rivka goes past the place of idolatry, Rashi says Esav tries to go out. Every time she goes by a base medrash, a study hall, Yaakov tries to go out. So they're both fighting in the womb. And there's a question that, in the name of the Briskerov, that the Briskerov asked the question. As remember, before they're born, there's a malach teaching them Torah. There's an angel teaching them Torah. Right, so then, a child's born, they forget all the Torah. They have to go back and relearn it. But the Briskerov asks, if Yaakov, if he's being taught by an angel, he's being taught the entire Torah, so why does he want to get out? Why is he fighting to get out first? Well, says the Briskerov, when you're in the council of someone who's evil, even if you're being educated by a malach, you're learning Torah by an angel. The fact that you're hanging around with someone evil, you got to get out. Right? So now, if the person's doing bad things, my obligation as an individual, right, seemingly I'm commanded to try and stop them. Even if it's going to cause me damage, seemingly. Even if it's going to be hard. So it's not about live and let live. The Talmud tells us, Kol Yisrael Ravim Zelezeh. Every Jew is intertwined with another Jew. So if a Jew does something wrong, doesn't matter, he knows something, he doesn't know something, the Jewish people in general suffer. Right? You'll say, who cares? So he does something wrong, why the entire Jewish people have to suffer? Because it's a din of Arvis. There's a command, or there's a status, that the Jewish people are all intertwined. You have to take achrayus, responsibility. Each one's responsible for the other. So even if a wayward Jew does something wrong, he doesn't know what he's doing, it doesn't really matter. Jewish people suffer. They do something good, okay. Jewish people get, prosper, they look good. But they do something wrong, the entire Jewish people suffer. And that's the reason, because we're all intertwined. So someone is desecrating Shabbos, you have an opportunity to stop them. It's a mitzvah to stop them. You try and stop them, they'll hate Shabbos more. Right? Sorry, they'll hate Torah more. Right? According to this, you got an obligation to separate someone from something that they're doing that's forbidden. The only question is, does the individual himself do it, or does he have to go through basis? That's a disagreement. Right? But there's an obligation to give rebuke, to try and stop them from doing something wrong. You tell me, most people don't know how to do rebuke today, so in the end you have to live and let live. You can't stop them. They're not going to listen anyway. They'll hate Torah more. Right? So there would be a leniency that if you know they're not going to listen, there's no mitzvah over here. Right? That may be true. But according to this disagreement, it doesn't hold that way. According to this, you have an obligation to try and stop it. Right? That's a disagreement between the Netzivos in the Ksos Achoshen. Now, why are you trying to separate someone doing something bad, right, against God? Because you want to do the right thing. You don't want God to get ticked off. Right? So you want to try and help the situation. You tell me, if he tries to do that, it's going to make it worse. But in the end, he's got an obligation to try and stop them. That's the question here. You can't just let things go. We don't give rebuke today, this, that. Doesn't matter. You don't let things go. You try and stop somebody. Right? That's the difference of opinion here. Right? The only question is, who's liable? Is it an individual or he has to go to Beis Din? Right? Does he have to go to the rabbinical court or not? So then Rebbe brings down verse 32, chapter 1, verse 32. What does Yaakov say? Whoever finds your gods, whoever took them, they're going to die. They shouldn't live. Now, what's the reason? So we said before that a non-Jew steals, liable for the death penalty. In this case, maybe you'll tell me, since he's doing it for the sake of the mitzvah, he's not liable. Right? Why should he be liable if he's doing it for the sake of the mitzvah? He's separating someone from being an idolater. Then what should be the problem? But we know in general, a non-Jew steals liable for a death penalty. So over here, someone's going to steal his trophy. Someone's going to steal these idols. It's idolatry. Why is he chayav misa? Why is he liable for the death penalty? He's separating them from doing something forbidden. Idolatry is pretty bad. It's one of the 3 cardinal sins every Jew has to give up their life for. So what's the problem? You're taking away his idols. Therefore, if you take away his idols, you steal it. He can't serve idols anymore. And that's pretty good. He's not going to be able to be an idolater now. So what'd you do wrong? Right? It shouldn't have been a problem. You see that by Avram. Right? He destroys all the idols. He tells his father comes back and he puts one idol left, puts a stick in the idol's hand, the Medrash says. And Terach says, Abe, what happened? He says, there was a big fight. All these idols, and this idol beat everyone up. Right? The only one left. Destroyed the idols. They say, Abe, idols can't do anything. They don't have any power. So Avram says, why do you worship them? They took him to Nimrod. Almost had him killed. He almost got killed. Right, but you don't ask the question over there. He destroys all the idols. It was his father's property. Right, why do you say, he's liable for damage? Right, so you say, well, if he's not liable for stealing, he should be liable for damage. Right, but if he's separating something from doing Isser, doing something wrong, you're not allowed, certainly, to make money from idols. Totally forbidden, so we stopped him from that. What's the problem? Doesn't seem like a problem over there. Why is it an issue here? Why is the issue here if he's stopping him from doing idolatry? The Rebbe brings down, he says, from the Zohar, Kadosh, the Holy Zohar and Pirkei the Rebbe Lezer explain that these trophim were idols. It was idolatry. It was for sure idolatry. And therefore, what? He's allowed to stop it. He's allowed to steal it. So he's not practicing idolatry. Comes on the Ramban. The Ramban says no. It was like a watch. It was like a clock. It wasn't idolatry. What did he use it for? Esav used it in order to know the future. But it didn't always work. Right, the Rebbe here points out there are different types of trophim over here. One is for sure idolatry. Right, and that was used in a way like this clock to know the future. Right, that is according to the Ramban. And Yaakov over here says the person who stole it, right, he stole it and it wasn't idolatry. It's not idolatry. So if it's not idolatry, how's he allowed to take it? Right? That's the question. But if it's idolatry, then for sure it's not a problem. You do whatever you take to get it, to get rid of it, steal it, whatever. So too, if you had an ability to take a Sefer Torah or anything holy from a Reform or conservative Jew, because they're not going to use it properly, right? You can use any underhanded method to do it. You're lying, conniving, stealing, this, that. How are you allowed to do it? Because you're saving them, right? You're saving them from embarrassing, from abusing the Sefer Torah, right? If they're doing idolatry, all the more so, right? 100% permitted. If it's not something like that, it's not idolatry. Maybe that's forbidden. Maybe I'm not allowed to stop it, right? Maybe I'm not allowed to steal if it's just a general prohibition. Or that you might be liable for, right? That's the whole question. So Yaakov knew, and everybody knew, that even though he's obligated to stop from doing things that are forbidden, but everybody knows how attached he is to idolatry, and a tremendous self-sacrifice. He'll do whatever it takes to get the idols back. And he'll even put people's lives in danger to get it back. So he was sure no one in his family took. Right? He was pretty sure. Because if everyone knows how upset he would be, if any of them took, if anyone took his idols, family included, right? So, for sure, no one's going to do that. Why are they going to put their lives in danger? So therefore, Yaakov says, anyone who took these idols, took these trophies, liable for a death penalty. They should die. Why would he have thought anyone in his family did it? They knew what the repercussions would have been. So, there's a general question which we'll get back to. And that is, you're separating from someone doing something evil. Doing something that is forbidden. So what extent is my obligation to stop them? If I know they have a television, am I allowed to go in there and just smash it? According to Torah, according to this, I should be allowed to. You're separated from doing something forbidden. Say maybe he's just watching a sporting event, just wasting time. It's not a problem of, not a problem of looking at things he shouldn't at. Whatever. They're just wasting time. Well, not idolatry, but again, if you want to separate someone from something that's forbidden, take it and smash it. According to Torah, and you can say, well, this doesn't make sense, whatever, we're going to flush this out. But according to Torah, it would seem that if you separate someone from doing something forbidden, and that thing you smash, you destroy, right? It doesn't matter how you got it, even if you stole it. Should be okay. Should not be a problem at all. Because you're separating them from doing terrible things. You'll tell me in secular law you're liable, causing damage. Maybe true. But according to Torah, you do whatever it takes. Now, it may sound a little bit fanatical. And you say it's private property. Well, that's the whole question here. It's something disgusting you're not allowed to use. So even if it is private property, I can take a sledgehammer and smash it. Nothing wrong. You're saving them from doing something forbidden. Especially if it's idolatry. Right? You stop a Jew from doing idolatry. You know the severe punishment of idolatry, how many times in the Torah it says not to make idols, bow down to them, all these things. Right? One of the most severe prohibitions you can do. Very easy way to tick God off, do idolatry. So if you have an opportunity, you can take a sledgehammer, stop him. You say, but I'll go out later and buy. Doesn't matter. You are now stopping them from doing idolatry. Nothing wrong. You stole it, you smash it, whatever. this person has a Sefer Torah. Right? They use the Sefer Torah. So you're allowed to take it away from them. You're allowed, doesn't matter how you do it. So you say, well, secular law says it's forbidden. Okay, you gotta be careful. But according to what the Torah tells me, this should be allowed. It's not about stealing. It's not about anything else. You are separating someone from abusing something, i.e. something holy, a Sefer Torah. And not only that, you're stopping them from doing things that are forbidden. So again, if something like idolatry, I understand. Right? If it's idolatry, yeah, get rid of it. Get out of it. Smash it. Destroy it. Do whatever it takes. Because you're separating them from Isser. Right? You're separating them from doing something wrong. Now, the only reason you'd be obligated to do this, as we mentioned before, is because you have a status of Arvis. There's collective responsibility. Again, it doesn't matter what the person knows, what they don't know, how ignorant they are. Every Jew is responsible one for another. And if that Jew does something wrong and it's egregious, you do whatever it takes to stop him. You'll tell me he hates you, or hate Judaism, or this, that. Rather be hated, by man for being quote-unquote a religious fanatic than for 1 second being hated by God. Because imagine an opportunity you could have stopped this person from idolatry. And you didn't want to. You say, live and let live. Right? What's the big deal? Okay, so he commits idolatry. What does that do with me? Why is that my problem? It is your problem. Because as a Jew, you got to try and stop him. Because the repercussions are much greater. Just like here in Eretz Yisrael, there's tremendous desecration of Shabbos for all kinds of things. It's certainly not legitimate to desecrate Shabbos. And the punishment is severe. See if you can't stop them, from opening bus lines, for allowing bus lines to open on Shabbos in different cities. See if you can't stop it. So what do? You have to protest. You have to show, even if nothing's going to happen by it, you have to show that it's wrong. Because if you don't show that it's wrong, and you don't protest at any level, it's as if you're saying it's okay. Now by doing so, you have to remember you're living in the palace of the king. It's one thing they're doing it outside of Israel. It's still wrong. It's still very wrong. But if you're doing it in the palace of the king, you don't think there are going to be repercussions? There'll be tremendous repercussions. God forbid. But we have to show it's wrong. We have to do what we can to try and stop it. To stick up for Torah. Stick up for Shabbos. You're saving them. And you're saving the Jewish people from greater punishment. Because if there's an opportunity to stop them, again, regardless if an individual should do it or he has to go through Beis Din, says in the Tzivos and the Ksos, you have an obligation to stop it. To stop a person from transgressing. But you'll tell me they'll say that's religious coercion. Kfiyat datit in Hebrew. Right? Religious coercion. They're going to hate Torah even more. So again, you got to put yourself on the line, and you got to stop worse desecration, worse transgression. Right? In this case, and everybody knows that Lavan would have done anything to get his idols back. Does it mean a person shouldn't have taken them? Shouldn't have stopped him? But you say, okay, so even if I stop him now, you don't think he's going to go out and buy idols later or whatever? So that's not your issue. Your issue is stopping forbidden things from going on. It doesn't matter how it looks. Doesn't matter what the media says. Doesn't matter what people say. You're stopping them from transgressing. That's a mitzvah to do. You're going to say again, how does it fall in the face of the fact that they can still do what they want? They'll hate Torah more. In the end, they're going to hate Torah anyway. They'll just use you as an excuse. Say, wow, you're a fanatic. You know, when Sturmbach was in South Africa and he stopped the funeral because they were burying non-Shabbos observers next to Shabbos observers. They yelled at him, screamed at him, called him a fanatic and this and that. Gemara says you're not allowed to bury people that are liable for different death penalties. So over here, Rav Sturmbach explained to them, and the head of the Chevra Kadisha, the burial society, was also not a religious Jew. And he explained the following. He said, the guy's sitting there, you know, and he's dead. And God's going to ask him, why do you keep Shabbos in South Africa? And the guy's going to answer, what do you want from me? I lived in South Africa. Not many people kept Shabbos, and it was too hard, and this and that. God's going to say, look at the buddy next to you. Right? Look at your buddy. Your buddy's sitting there, he kept Shabbos. So Sturmbach explained that it's going to be a tremendous slap in the face. You get upstairs. Because you're going to say, well, I couldn't do it, but what about this other guy? He said, I'm saving the embarrassment. And he did whatever he could to stop it. And they destroyed him in newspapers. They destroyed him on the radio. They destroyed him all over the place. He had to make a special asifa, a special gathering of his synagogue to explain what was going on because they had no idea. He said, oh, that's a Chilul Hashem. Look, they're going to call him a religious fanatic. Yeah, they called him a lot worse than that. Right? What did they claim? They said, oh, he hates secular people and he screamed against secular people and not keeping mitzvahs and all that. He said he hates secular people when they're alive. He hates them worse than they're dead. Did Rav Sturmbach flinch? No. Did he budge? No. Was it a Chilul Hashem? No. He was doing them a favor. You'll say, oh, they said all these terrible things. They got really angry. Don't let them get angry. They'll say, oh, they're going to hate Torah more. You're going to stick up for Torah. You're going to stop them from doing something that's egregious. And imagine someone gets upstairs after 120 years. Imagine the embarrassment. Oh, I couldn't keep Shabbos. It was too hard. It was too hard in South Africa. Yeah, look at your buddy. Look at your buddy sitting there. He kept Shabbos. Rav Sturmbach explained to them, I'm helping you. And you're sitting here cursing me? I'm going to save you from all this punishment later. And eventually they changed it. They did not allow people that were Shomer Shabbos, that kept Shabbos, to be buried next to people that weren't Shomer Shabbos. But he got a lot of flack for it. This is exactly the point here. He did whatever he could to try and stop this. And he succeeded. We say, oh, but look how much Torah, how much more they're going to hate Torah. Makesher. Right, what's the connection? There's an obligation to stop someone. That's what he said. The mitzvah to stop somebody from doing something wrong. So over here is the mitzvah to stop the Chevra Kadisha. Right? To stop the burial society from doing this. He's giving them a rebuke. They're not going to listen. They're going to hate Torah more. This, that. In the end, they agreed. And they stopped it. And he did what he set out to do. But a person might think, oh, it's too hard. I can't do it. They won't listen. This doesn't matter. You got an obligation to try. Because if you don't do anything, you could be liable also. You say, oh, Shabbos desecration not so important in your eyes. Right? Burying religious Jews next to non-religious Jews, not so important in your eyes. You could have done something. Imagine if he didn't. Imagine if he didn't. Gets upstairs after 120 years. God says, Moshe, what happened? What happened? You knew the halacha. They're not allowed to be buried one next to another. Shomer Shabbos Jews can't be buried next to non-Shomer Shabbos Jews. It's not going to be in protest. What would have been his answer? He said they would have listened anyway. They would have hated Torah more. Right, but even if that's the case, you still got to fight. Right, you got to stand up for Torah over here. You can't just let it go. Torah's not hefker. Right, it's not lawless over here. There are lots of things you got to do. Might be unpopular. Oh, people may say you're a fanatic. Keep mind your own business. It is my business. All Jews are intertwined. And you're making a travesty of a mockery of a sham. You're trying to stop them. Even if it causes damage. You do whatever it takes. So what about secular law? What they turn you over to the police, you cause damage, this and that. Go to the Torah, you're good. They take you to secular court and you have to pay. Okay, you'd have to pay. Right, but in this case, you do whatever it takes. Right, anybody non-Jews liable for a death penalty, it doesn't matter. In this case, it's okay. So again, people are going to say, wow, these people just don't know how to leave things alone. We just want to live. We just want to do what we want. Well, that's what the Torah is. The Torah is not about, you can't always get what you want. I mean, that's what the Torah is. Not it is. Because there are plenty of things that are forbidden. You can't always do what you want. And if you go through the Torah, that's clear. Torah makes that point clear. So it doesn't matter. People are going to jump up and down. They're going to scream and they're going to yell and they're going to curse you and this and that. Did you save them from doing something wrong? Yes. Is it forbidden to steal in this case? No. You're stopping them from doing something forbidden. Right, that you're allowed to do. But again, the only question is how you do it. Can you do it on an individual basis? Or you have to go through Beis Din. Right, but someone's doing something forbidden. You don't just sit around. Right, seemingly, even if they're not going to listen. Right, even if they're not going to listen, it doesn't matter. Because God knows and God sees. And God understands. So a person has a quandary here. Right, but the Torah is clear. This is what has to be done. In my language, as we would say in Boston, don't be a wuss. Can't be a wuss over here. You got to do what the Torah demands. And sometimes it's hard. And sometimes you're going to be called names. Sometimes you're going to be put down. But at the end of the day, doing God's will. So if this is really idolatry, there's not even a question. You get away with it, get a baseball bat. Smash them. Not a problem. Says the Rambam, if you have the opportunity, even outside of Israel, to smash these idols and to smash churches and destroy them, if it wouldn't be a problem getting caught, be allowed to do it. Because God hates idolatry. Mitzvah to uproot it, not just in the land of Israel. But if it's a problem with Dina Damachusa, it's against the law, okay, you can't do it. Under onus. But you should really want to do it, not because you're a pyromaniac, not because you just want to destroy things, but you want to do it because that's what God says. That idolatry has to be uprooted. So the question is, where? Does that only mean in the land of Israel? Or does that mean everywhere? The Rambam learns everywhere. But you can't necessarily do it. Even in Israel, you can't do it. If it would be done in such a way you wouldn't get caught, not a problem. Right? It certainly wouldn't be a problem. Talking idolatry. If you're talking other things, maybe not. Right? Could be. So you see tremendous responsibility here. And unfortunately, the Orthodox, people just say, oh, they're fanatics and they're this and they're that. They believe the Torah is true. They believe God spoke to Moshe on Mount Sinai. They, meaning we, me also, believe there's right and wrong. And we believe that if there's a way to stop someone doing something that's forbidden, you do it. If it's idolatry, all the more so. And according to the Torah, you're not liable. So does this mean vigilantes could take things in their own hands? No. Right? You have to have Das Torah. Yeah, you have to have someone to guide you. But this is clearly the halacha. Make no mistake. Again, if it wouldn't be for the law of the land, either in Israel or outside of Israel, no problem smashing these places, burning them down. Big mitzvah to do so. It's fanaticism, but the Torah says uproot idolatry. And what does that mean? It means uproot it, get rid of it, destroy it. That's what it means. So if you know how to do it in such a way you're never going to get caught, it should be okay. But a person would have to be careful. But people don't get it. That this is such a severe prohibition, or whatever the prohibition is, you're stopping them from sinning. Why is that a bad thing? They can yell at you, they can scream at you, they can do all these things. But in the end, you're stopping them from sinning. So you can tell me, okay, let them sin. What's the big deal? So they'll be liable. Why is it your problem? Because the Jewish people are our problem. Right? The entire Jewish nation. We're all intertwined. Right? That's why doing kiruv, doing outreach is such a tremendous thing. Because you're bringing people back. Bringing them back to the source, back to Torah. Because we're all responsible. That's the mitzvah of kiruv. We're all responsible one for the other. So we have to do our best to try and bring back as many as we can. Right? And stop them from doing things that are wrong. And again, we don't really care what people are going to say. We don't care what they're going to claim, what they're going to say. They should leave us alone and all that. You got to do what's right in God's eyes. Most people would never change their lives if they had to worry about what other people think. I think a non-Jew converts. Non-Jews don't want them. Jews don't want them. They lose family, friends, everything. Bali Tshuva, similar thing. Right? People make fun. People scoff. People this. People that. So in the end, do we really care what they think? Why should we care what they think? Let them call names. Let them say things. Let them, whatever. But you are helping them in the process. They certainly don't look at it that way. But you're helping them. You're stopping them from transgressing. That's not a small thing. Especially if it's a very severe transgression. Idolatry is pretty bad. People do things that are wrong, that have bad influence, and try and stop them. It's not vigilantism. You're stopping people that are doing the wrong thing, influencing people in a negative way, making the Jewish people look bad, who says I don't have an obligation to try and stop them. They're doing tremendously bad things. They're spitting in God's face, ticking him off. You got an opportunity to separate someone from doing that? Stopping them from doing that? Big mitzvah to do so. Huge mitzvah to do so. And it doesn't matter if it's idolatry or not. You're stopping them from doing something forbidden. Even something egregious, idolatry, all the more so. But as my Rebbe said to the Chevra Kedisha, to the burial society, you're cursing me and yelling and screaming. I'm trying to save you. I'm trying to help you, because when you bury these people, they're going to get slaughtered, no pun intended, in the next world. That's the power of the Jewish people being together. That's the power that Kol Yisrael Arevim Zelezeh. So I want to remind everyone I have a Q&A. I do 2 Q&As, question and answer sessions, every Tuesday and Thursday, 10 in the morning New York time, 5 in the afternoon Israel time. I also have a class, Duties of the Heart, every Tuesday night, 9 o'clock New York time. We're in Shar B'Tachon. We're speaking about faith in God when it comes to livelihood, and very interesting things there. I also have a class in the book of Leviticus every Sunday, 9 o'clock in the morning, New York time. Do that on Facebook and on Zoom. We're in Leviticus chapter 11, speaking about kosher animals and kosher signs of animals, etc. And I have conversion classes every Sunday and Thursday, Sunday 4 o'clock in the afternoon, New York time, and Thursday, 9 o'clock New York time. Anyone wants to contact me, find me on Facebook, Beyond Orthodox Conversion and Judaism, or you can send me an email, rabbichaimkoffman@gmail.com, RABBICHAIMCOFFMAN @gmail.com. Wishing everyone a great Shabbos.